92 million jobs will disappear by 2030. That is not a prediction from some fringe futurist, that is the World Economic Forum's official projection, published in their Future of Jobs report this year. And here is the number that should genuinely unsettle you. 41 of employers globally have already decided to cut workers in areas where AI can automate tasks. They have made the decision. The layoffs are coming. But while most people are watching this unfold like passengers on a sinking ship, a small group figured out something that changes everything. They are not looking for lifeboats. They are building entirely new vessels. And the economics of what they are doing, I will get to that, because it took me weeks to actually understand the full picture. Welcome back to Zero Index. Let me be precise about what is actually happening here because the headlines get it wrong almost every time. Yes, 92 million jobs will be eliminated. But 170 million new jobs will also be created, leaving a net gain of 78 million positions. Sounds reassuring, right? Here is why it is not. The jobs being destroyed and the jobs being created are not the same jobs. They do not require the same skills. They are not in the same locations. And they are not going to the same people. Customer service representatives face an 80% automation rate by 2025, that is next year. Data entry clerks, 7.5 million of those positions will be eliminated by 2027. Retail cashiers face a 65% automation risk. If you work in one of these roles, this is not a 5-year problem. This is happening right now. But here is what I found when I started digging into where the displaced workers are actually going. The conventional story says they will retrain and move into healthcare or tech. And yes, those sectors are expanding: nurses, personal care aides, software developers. But the retraining timeline does not match the displacement timeline. It takes years to become a nurse. It takes months to lose your job to automation. So what fills the gap? That is where I found something genuinely unexpected. And I need to explain why the creator economy numbers stopped making sense to me before they suddenly made perfect sense. The creator economy was valued at roughly $200 billion in 2025. The projection for the early 2030s is over $800 billion. But those numbers felt abstract to me until I looked at one specific metric. In 2020, there were approximately 200,000 full-time equivalent digital creator jobs in the United States. By 2024, that number hit 1.5 million. That is not gradual growth. That is a 7.5 times increase in 4 years. Something structural changed. And I want to be precise about what changed because most people miss it completely. This is not about influencers getting famous on TikTok. This is about displaced workers discovering that the skills that made them replaceable in traditional employment, consistency, reliability, showing up every day and executing on routine tasks, those same skills, redirected toward audience building and content creation, make them irreplaceable in a different context. A 34-year-old former administrative assistant from Phoenix named Rachel, she lost her job in early 2024 when her company automated most back-office functions. 6 months later, she runs a newsletter about productivity systems for small business owners. She makes $4,200 a month from subscriptions and digital product sales. That is not fame money. That is replacement income. But here is the part nobody is talking about. The income distribution in the creator economy looks nothing like what you would expect from a traditional industry. Nearly half of creators, 48.7%, still earn under $10,000 a year. But 45.6% now earn between $10,000 and $100,000. And only 5.7% clear 6 figures. That middle tier, that is new. That did not exist 5 years ago at scale. And it represents something important. Let me stop here because I need to address something that most coverage of this topic gets completely wrong. The creator economy is not replacing traditional employment in the way people think. It is not a one-to-one swap where you lose your job as a data entry clerk and become a YouTuber making the same salary. The model is fundamentally different. Traditional employment gives you one income stream from one employer who can eliminate your position with a single decision. The displaced workers who are successfully transitioning into the creator economy are building something structurally different, multiple smaller income streams from audiences they own. The most resilient creator businesses I found all follow the same pattern. They combine subscriptions for recurring revenue, one-off digital product purchases for cash flow spikes, community memberships for retention, and occasionally sponsored content or services built on top of their audience. No single revenue source dominates. No single platform change can destroy them. And this is where it gets strange. The automation that is eliminating traditional jobs is simultaneously making this model more accessible to build. 91% of creators in the US and UK now use AI tools for content production. Not as a gimmick. As core infrastructure. Scheduling, editing, research, repurposing content across platforms, the operational load that used to require a small team can now be handled by one person using AI assistance. Remember what I said earlier about needing to understand why the economics stopped making sense and then suddenly made perfect sense? This is what I meant. The same wave of automation that is eliminating tens of millions of traditional jobs is simultaneously lowering the barrier to entry for building independent income streams. The tools that replace the data entry clerk, those same tools help the former data entry clerk build a content operation that generates sustainable income. This is not a coincidence. It is a structural shift. But I will be honest, I did not see this coming. When I first started researching this, I expected to find a simple story about job losses and retraining programs. What I found instead was a parallel economy emerging in real time, absorbing displaced workers who figured out the model before anyone explained it to them. The growth rate is 22.7 compound annual. At that pace, we are looking at an industry north of $500 billion by 2030, the same year those 92 million jobs disappear. That is not a safety net built by policymakers. That is a safety net built by individuals who recognized what was coming and started building alternatives while they still had the stability to do it. And here is the uncomfortable part. The people who will get destroyed by this transition are not the workers who lack skills. They are the workers who wait too long to start building alternatives. The 35% of workers whose skills will face disruption in the coming years, most of them are still operating as if job security means what it meant 10 years ago. It does not. The companies that employ them have already decided. 41% of employers globally are planning workforce reductions in areas where AI can automate tasks. Within the next 5 years. That is not a forecast. That is a plan that already exists inside HR departments right now. So what separates the Rachel from Phoenix who built replacement income from the millions of workers who will simply be displaced? I spent 3 weeks looking at creator economy case studies trying to identify the pattern. Here is what I found. The most successful transitions share 3 characteristics. First, they started before they were forced to. The biggest predictor of success in building creator income is runway, the time you have to experiment and fail before you need the money. Workers who started building audiences and content operations while still employed, treating it as a side project with no immediate financial pressure, had dramatically better outcomes than workers who tried to build from scratch after losing their jobs. Second, they chose owned platforms over rented ones. Community-led business models and owned memberships, email lists, private communities, subscription products, these create durable income in a way that platform-dependent content does not. The algorithm can change tomorrow. Your email list cannot be taken from you. Third, they systematized their operations using AI from day one. The creators clearing consistent 5-figure monthly income are not working 80-hour weeks producing content. They are using AI tools to maintain consistent output without burnout. 91% adoption rate is not early adopter behavior anymore. It is baseline competency. But there is a fourth factor I almost missed. And I want to come back to something I mentioned at the beginning because it changes everything else I just told you. The jobs being created by 2030, those 170 million new positions, they require fundamentally different relationships between workers and institutions. The World Economic Forum data shows that technology roles are among the fastest growing. But when you look at what those roles actually entail, many of them are not traditional employment in any recognizable sense. They are contractors, freelancers, project-based workers, and yes, creators building audience-based businesses. The line between new jobs created and creator economy growth is blurrier than the reports make it sound. Some of that 78 million net job gain is not traditional employment at all. It is people building independent operations that happen to pay taxes and show up in economic data as if they were jobs. This is the shift I mentioned at the top that took me weeks to fully track down. The creator economy is not just an alternative to traditional employment. It is becoming part of how the economy measures employment itself. Which means the $800 billion projection might actually be conservative. If the structural conditions that are driving creator economy growth, AI tooling, displacement pressure, platform accessibility, continue at their current pace, we could be looking at something much larger by the time those 92 million jobs actually disappear. So here is where I land on this. The next 5 years will separate workers into two groups. Those who recognize that job security now means income diversification and started building before they were forced to. And those who believed the traditional employment model would hold. The data is clear on which group has better outcomes. If you are currently employed in any role that involves routine cognitive tasks, your employer has likely already evaluated whether AI can perform your function at lower cost. You may not know the result of that evaluation. But it has happened. The question is not whether you will be affected by this transition. It is whether you will be someone who was affected by it, or someone who used it. 45% of creators now earn between $10,000 and $100,000 annually. That middle tier did not exist at scale 5 years ago. It exists now because the tools to build it exist now. The window to start building is before you need it. Not after. If this gave you something to think about, subscribe. I will see you in the next one.